Hey there, this is Dana, and today I'm going to talk about powerful signs of red cardinals during grief. So many times in life we have various losses, and there are times we lose our loved ones or we lose our pets. And if you have watched previous videos of mine, I have one that is also about powerful signs of red cardinals, and I speak a lot about what happened after my yellow lab passed away over 2 years ago. So I'll show you a picture. This is Samson, and he is a gentle giant, and over 2 years ago Samson passed away, and I was heartbroken. And it was just a really difficult time of mourning his loss. And I share in that video how I had been struggling with this grief, and I said a prayer. So one day I said a prayer. It was a day after he passed away. And I asked God, give me a sign that Samson's okay. I need you, Lord, and I'm struggling, and I need some kind of sign that you're there, that you are here for me. And so at that moment, I was praying, but I was also busy, and I was putting on my makeup, and it was a moment when my husband and I were trying to make plans to go out to dinner to celebrate our anniversary. The day before that was actually the anniversary in which Samson passed away on that exact day, which made for a pretty difficult celebration. So it was a day later, I was getting ready, and I share in this video how God powerfully moved and used this red cardinal to minister to me and to give me peace. And it's just wonderful signs that we see. And a lot of times nature is one of the biggest ways that God can speak to us. And so today I want to talk about something new that happened, and it's with another pet of mine. So let me get a picture. This is Sabrina. Sabrina is no longer with us, and she's 10 years old, or should I say she was 10 years old. Beautiful, beautiful white cat. And over 11 years ago, we had rescued her. She was 4 weeks old, she was homeless, she was abandoned, and my son begged me to agree to let him adopt this precious kitten. And all it took was one look, just to see her one time, and I fell in love, and I couldn't say no. So Sabrina came into our lives, and at that point Samson was about 4 years old. And it's funny because you wouldn't ever think that this big lab would have a companion with this little tiny kitten. But these two animals, our furry friends, fell in love and became the best of friends. And so after Samson passed away, I did have concern for Sabrina, but her and I actually drew a lot closer during these past few years and spent a lot more time together. And she's a feisty cat. She has her moments. But in the summer last year, my daughter noticed a hard lump on Sabrina's stomach. And so I touched it and I felt it and was like palpating it and trying to determine, is this major, is this minor? And we thought we'd just kind of watch and wait and see what happened, and we wouldn't overreact. And so we kept our eyes on it, and within a few short months, it changed. So this lump became one solid mass, and it was on actually one of her breasts. So it was like, the belly, but it was a breast, and it became probably the size of a small plum. And it was a concern. At this point, I was imagining the worst. I feared it could be breast cancer, but I didn't know. I started doing research and decided to take Sabrina to get examined at the vets. So we took Sabrina in October last year, and our vet said he wasn't 100%. He said it is either A, mastitis, which is an infection of the mammary gland, or it is breast cancer. And he said, let's just give Sabrina 10 days of antibiotics. Let's see how she does. Maybe this will resolve itself. If not, then we guarantee it's cancer. And he said, in that case, you will have to determine what to do. And he was open, he was honest, and he said surgery won't stop. If it's breast cancer, it's a very aggressive form of cancer, and surgery won't stop the cancer from spreading and metastasizing. So we took this into consideration, and for 10 days we moved forward. We gave Sabrina her antibiotics. I prayed. I cried. I begged God that this was not anything fatal. And after 10 days, nothing changed. Sabrina was still dealing with this solid lump. The one thing I want to bring up also is the vet said there was not just one lump, but there were 2 lumps. So that was disheartening. We knew then this cancer was probably going to spread. We didn't know how many days, how many months, how many years we had left. So I got on the computer, I'm doing all this research, and it didn't look good. It didn't sound promising, and I was heartbroken. So our days were short, our days were numbered, but we made the best of our months. And for 3 months from that point on, we had 3 months with Sabrina in which we treasured each moment. And in December, I know, this is her last Christmas with us. And it was difficult, but I tried to keep my spirits up and just be there for her. And the truth is, sometimes with our pets, we don't know how much pain they're in. We don't know how much they're suffering. There are times there are legitimate signs, and there are times there are no signs. And so Sabrina was still eating and drinking and sleeping and climbing, jumping on the bed, jumping off the bed, and so forth. The only thing that really stood out were these tumors that were growing. And she never really showed signs during these 3 months of being in pain. But I knew deep inside that doesn't mean she's not in pain, because logically she could be in pain. And my best guess, looking back, is she was definitely in pain, which even makes me feel deeply crushed over the whole dilemma. On New Year's Eve, instead of ringing in the new year, instead of ringing in 2018, we had a huge change of what was going on with Sabrina. She was bleeding. Her tumors opened up. It was bright red blood. She was growling. And we already know from research, when a cat starts growling, when they become angry and sometimes just mean, it means that they're suffering. This is just their way of saying, hey, don't touch me, I'm in pain. And of course they can't speak to us, and we can only imagine what they're going through. And I had to make decisions right then and there. The tumors are bleeding, it's bright red blood. My vet warned me about this in October. He basically said, when you start seeing bright red blood, boom, that's it, time to put her down. Don't let her continue on. And so I know I'm dealing with, it's New Year's Eve, the vets aren't open, my vet is on vacation for the entire weekend and that Monday, which would be New Year's Day. And I had hard decisions to make. My family struggled. They didn't want to say goodbye to Sabrina, but we felt it was best. So what happened was we together gathered in an emergency vet hospital, and we're in tears. We're just in tears to say our last goodbyes. And it's heart-wrenching, and it's still fresh. It's still fresh, even though we're nearing, her 1-month anniversary of being gone and taking her last breath. I'm telling you, it was torture. Because when you love an animal, a pet, or even a person, and you're saying goodbye, it just is the most excruciating, painful thing to go through on earth. But there are times that even in the midst of our grief and our sorrow, there can be some really beautiful things that happen. And so after this whole experience and saying goodbye to Sabrina and starting my new year off in tears, basically I started 2018 in tears. I ended 2017 in tears, and I started 2018 crying and feeling horrible and grieving the loss of Sabrina. So the first week she was gone, I said a prayer. I thought back about Samson. I thought back about how God has used over and over repeatedly red cardinals And so I said a prayer and I said, Lord, I'm in so much pain and I miss Sabrina, but I'm thankful that she's no longer suffering. But can you do me a favor, Lord? Can you just show me a red cardinal? Just give me that sign. And about a day later, I was heading into my kitchen to pour some coffee. And there, right outside my window, is a male red cardinal with a female cardinal. And female cardinals are camouflaged. You can't see them as well. They blend in with the bushes and the greenery and so forth. But nevertheless, I saw them. And I just felt like it was a sign from God. And it made me think about how maybe Samson and Sabrina are united and, rainbow heaven and the whole thing. And while I don't know what happens to pets after they pass away, my hope and what brings me comfort are these red cardinals, and that possibly Sabrina and Sam are together, united, and at peace. That following week, I said another prayer. I said, Lord, I have never seen a red cardinal up close. Never, ever. And I'd love to see a red cardinal up close. And it could be a sign that Sabrina's fine, Sabrina's okay. And a couple days later, I was walking into my dining room and I couldn't believe what I saw. I was like floored, just blown away. I saw a male red cardinal. It was smack up against my window. I've never seen a red cardinal that close ever in my life before. And it was literally staring at me. It was facing me. The red cardinal was looking at me. I stood still. I was quiet. And I just stood there and I thought, God's answering my prayer. Once again, he's ministering to me. Once again, he's using red cardinals. And we could read about red cardinals. Here's something about symbolism that I read. It says here, excuse me, let me get the correct paperwork. It says here, there are times when it may be possible for little red cardinals to get our attention when nothing else can, especially in times of depression or loss, when we're grieving. Cardinals have a bright red color and they are the vitality of life. As the cardinal, the red color is symbolic of Jesus' blood on the cross, what he did for us. And it can remind us to keep the faith, especially in circumstances that are dark and bleak, like losing a loved one or a furry friend. It says, you are a vital element in the circle of life. And regardless of where you are in that cycle, you always have the opportunity for restoration, revitalization, and renewal. The unique clarity of his call can be used to gain our attention and lift us from our depression, our sorrow, and perhaps our grief. And so today I wanted to share something I have, and I got this actually before Sabrina passed away. I don't know if you could see it or how well you could see it. I'll read it first. It says, when you believe beyond what your eyes can see, signs from heaven show up to remind you love never dies. I don't know if you could see this. Here it is. So this is what I found online. I found it online and I purchased this last year. I saw it at a craft show. I just knew. Do you ever see something and you just know, I've got to have it? And I knew that because God has been using red cardinals in my life for over 2 years, I knew I needed this to remember that love never dies. So today, if you're grieving, if you lost a loved one or a furry friend, lost your job, lost your spouse, lost someone or something, know that you're not alone, that God's with you. And maybe you can even pray for something, whether it's rainbows, whether it's birds, whether it's seeing a sunrise or something that will just resonate within your spirit and bring you peace, hope, and love. And today, if you'd like to connect with me, feel free to go to danaarcuri.com. Please share how God has ministered to you through red cardinals or anything else. Share with me how you are dealing with grief. Maybe there's something that helps you. And you could also like, share, and thanks again for following me. Have a blessed day.